Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick's next Walking Dead Jason Voorhees and crossover story. What if Negan used Jason Voorhees, the penultimate part? Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything that the Omniverse has to offer. With all that said, let's begin. So we open up where we ended off last time, with Negan remembering who Jason Voorhees is. Wild, if you really think about it. And calling him the looming savior. Seeing him take out the sanctuary and all those other posts before he even made himself a leader of them has proven to him no army can withstand Jason Voorhees, which is why he is the perfect tool for his plan. So, Laura says, "Are you really sure about that?" And she says, "This might have worked so far and it seems like a good plan, but don't forget, he could kill us at any given point. What if the collar doesn't work anymore? You can't just keep knocking him out over and over again. That'll only work for so long. You saw what happens to him. He doesn't register pain." And Negan says, "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Laura. That's why I have something extra planned as a security measure. Don't worry." And he says, "Now is the time for a true savior mission." And they're the only two that can do it. And with Jason by their side, no one will take anything from them, and they will take everything away from everyone. First, Oceanside. Negan talks to the leaders in typical Negan fashion, killing at least one or two of them to prove a point, and says, "Well, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. You give us half your stuff, we'll let you go. And this community can live, prosper, and manage. But you're going to have to give us at least half of all of your stuff in this community. And when the community resists and fails to oblige, they all vacate, run, and are slaughtered." As Jason, seeing this familiar landscape, Oceanside, reminds him that he once had a mission. He once had a place. And he once hunted. And now, besides those other places he was just at with this guy, Negan, who he holds no kind of allegiance to, but seeing as though he's no other choice but to stroll along with him and this girl, Laura, it's time that he took on this familiar landscape looking like his old home, Camp Crystal Lake. And he slaughters everybody. And luckily, even though the people try to survive from Oceanside, we're not getting that whole thing. We're not getting survivors. But in the end of it all, when Oceanside is slaughtered, Negan then uses the remote and electrocutes Jason. And this proves to Negan, Oceanside was the first of probably many communities and people, just like, for example, the Sanctuary and those satellite outposts, that the New World Order either rules with Negan or dies with the old Negan. Soon enough, he comes upon the garbage people, Jadis and her group, the scavengers, but they resist too. Jason hunts and goes in through all of the dump and kills them all. And yes, even Jadis. Next, the Kingdom. And yeah, you can see where that's going to. They resist. And Shiva immediately jumps at Jason, but Jason just has his machete and strikes it straight through Shiva's mouth. So this would be a brutal kill. Think about how awesome it would be for a tiger to fight Jason, and then remember, Jason can't feel pain, but Shiva, oh boy, Jason would not hold back an inch. Jerry and so many others would sacrifice themselves to save Ezekiel, and then Ezekiel would be left all alone, that all his kingdom has died, and now he's about to meet the same fate. And Negan says there was a way out of this. All you had to do was submit. And Ezekiel's killed. Then they get to Hilltop. But this time, not really any resistance. Jesus and Gregory talk about this because Jason's not brought into each community or each person until Negan knows they're not going to listen. So, since Jesus and Gregory are actually beginning to listen, Jason isn't brought out yet. And Jesus and Gregory talk like they're just two people. What's giving them half our stuff gonna hurt, especially if they have a huge home? They need it. So Jesus agrees, but he is kind of suspicious at the whole idea of how they're acting and 50% of the stuff. It's confusing. And Gregory has no choice but to oblige. Even Gregory has sort of a heart, even though he's a horrible character. So when they get back to the sanctuary, every community, to Negan's mind at least, has been checked for. Nothing new has come to pass. And Negan's extra plan is to chain Jason to the walkers that he holds at the gates. Because remember, Negan will still put that idea into place whenever he gates the walkers and everything to those posts. And Jason, he would not just be put on the gate. He would be chained legs, chest, neck, arms, everywhere. And if somehow, some way, he was able to break off, the electric collar would be hit. So Jason can't move. And he's just by a bunch of walkers who even this very dead zombie-like minded Jason can see these creatures are a lot like him, and yet nothing like him. And Negan says to Laura, told you there was a plan. And now with so many communities' belongings, nobody can stop us. But that's where he'd be wrong. Soon enough, Rick's group comes into the picture after just going out of the barn or coming near the barn, and the whole Tyrese's death and so on. The whole story with Rick's group has gone completely the same. And then they enter Alexandria, and here's where the deviations begin on their side, because we've already had a huge amount of deviations with the main story. But now we're going to get that touched and how it affects Rick's group. Aaron says to Rick, there's been rumors going around of a man with a bat with barbed wire and a blonde-haired girl by his side, apparently with some guy called the Looming Savior. It's like a big walker-like man with a mask and a machete and a bunch of other tools. But Aaron just thinks it could be rumors. There's no way half a walker, half man exists. But he just feels that Rick and everybody should know. Rick and Deanna talk about this, and even Deanna has heard the rumors. And they say that if this presents a threat to their community, she trusts that Rick and everybody will know what to do when that time comes. But for now, they gotta listen to what goes on in this community. And basically the whole rest of the story plays up the same until season 6, whenever we get to a pivotal moment. They're not going to encounter the saviors on the road because they all died at the sanctuary. We're also not going to get a whole Dwight and Sherry and Tina join the saviors, blah, 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 blah. Instead, Dwight and Sherry are not going to rob Daryl or turn against him. Instead, they are going to come with, which isn't the first time I've done that. They've joined the group before. So that's going to happen here. And with that, Abraham, Sasha, Daryl, and Dwight and Sherry all make it back, and they're going to make it back much sooner because of no saviors in the road. So right whenever the group is out and trying to do the whole gut plan and everything, right whenever Sam starts to cry out and he gets bit and gets killed, right before Jesse dies and Carl will get shot and Ron can pull off the shot, Michonne stabs him, etc. Right as Sam dies, Abraham, Sasha, Daryl, Dwight, and Sherry all come to the rescue. And Daryl uses the rocket launcher and provides the group a kind of more enhanced group, a much more stable head as we get into killing all the walkers in the community. Then we cut to Rick and Daryl meeting Jesus, and Jesus, whenever he talks to everybody at Alexandria, even he knows about the rumors, and they're not rumors. He did, in fact, their community, the Hilltop, did encounter that man with the barbed wire bat and the blonde-haired girl, but there wasn't a half man, half walker, masked machete guy. It was just the two of them. So it could just be rumors, but he did meet the two of them. When they get to the Hilltop, we're not going to get an Ethan stabs Gregory and a whole scene there, because why would there need to be? And the deal with Maggie and Gregory, I feel, would actually go a lot better with no saviors to threaten them. We're not going to get Carol leaving the group because she's not going to be traumatized at the whole killing the saviors at the satellite outpost, because there's no reason for them to go to the outpost, you know? Yeah. Then we get to Abraham and Eugene. They still have their beef at the ammo shop thing. And we get Daryl, Rosita, and Denise. They all go on their trip. But Denise is not going to die because Dwight is with them. And there's no saviors. So, yeah. We're also not going to get Carol and Morgan at the kingdom because Carol doesn't leave, meaning Morgan's not going to leave. So they're not going to the kingdom. And the kingdom's gone anyway. So, yeah. Then Maggie's pregnancy begins to advance. And so does Jesse's. That's right. By the way, just want to point out a few things before we move on. Ron still does come off with the gunshot, and he still gets killed, but Carl does not get shot in the eye. Owen, God knows what's happened to him. Sam still does die, and Jesse does not. So Jesse lives, Ron still dies, Carl keeps both eyes, and Sam still dies. And Owen, who knows? Rick and Michonne are not going to get together. Instead, it's going to be Rick and Jesse. Hinting to the Omniverse story? Not really, but this is not the first time I've made Rick and Jesse get together, and it won't be the last. And that's how the whole Omniverse idea came into play with Thunder. So, irony. Anyways, they all get in the RV to go to Hilltop so that they can get Maggie and Jesse's pregnancy taken care of. But will they get there the same way with no saviors in the road to stop them? Will it be easier? When will they actually come face to face with Negan and Laura and Jason Voorhees? And since the finale's next time, is this going to be a dark ending? Or is it going to be a almost too good to be true ending? Find out.